Unearthed Evidence fans. I'm Jen,
And I'm Gina.
and today we have a really, really awesome special guest. His name is Mike Craig, and we are. I'll tell you, I'm super excited. Gina knows him and has known him for what, all your life?
Yeah, I'm his
Since
mom.
yes, since you are of her loins. But we are. I'm excited to talk to you because I don't know exactly what it is that you do, and we have him as a guest today, kind of to change it up and just give us some paranormal stuff. But Mike, you're a what is it called, a walk-in?
Yes, I'm a
Explain
walker.
what that is, for because I never heard of it.
Okay, so um, a walking in is basically where a young, really young kid goes through, basically go through life, and at a certain age, and I want to say it's probably around 3 or 4. You know, you it's hard to explain, but basically you're kind of going through the motions, basically, and then all of a sudden I seen myself up in the sky, and then I came and basically walked into my body.
So let
Okay.
me
And
let me walk in real quick. So what a walk-in is, and it can come at any age. The
Mhm.
soul
yeah,
makes a contract with the physical body, and we think that we have the same soul throughout our life. But
Mhm.
what we found is, in fact, it's actually a topic that not too many people talk about because it's really hard to track down. But those people that have had this experience know that they've had this experience.
Mhm.
So, Mike, and so what happens is one soul will be there for a certain length of time,
Mhm.
sometimes, halfway through life, in the beginning of life, towards the end, and it'll leave. So
Mhm.
another soul will jump in the body, and that's what a walk in is called. Son, why
Okay.
don't you talk to us about your first experience and how you remember being a walk in?
well, I remember being a walking as a young kid, and that I was seeing myself almost like up above, like when you're looking at
Mhm.
yourself looking downwards, and I just see myself playing at that one of the houses I lived at with my
Mhm.
dad, and at this one
How old were
point,
you, son?
I want to say about 3 or 4, um, and then I was watching myself from up above,
Okay.
and all of a sudden I just went from up above straight into my body, and
Wow.
I realized, I was like, man, I can talk. I was like, I was at 3 or 4. I was like, man, I can talk. I hear my voice, and then I went, and I remember running to my dad and be like, hey, I can talk. I can, and he's like, yeah, I know.
Good for you, son.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
So
We
it was
wish we
good.
didn't teach you.
Yeah,
That's
right.
how all parents feel. I know I felt that way when my kids were that
Yeah,
little.
son. Do
yeah,
you
but I actually see myself go straight in, like it just went up, and then,
Wow.
Do
yeah,
you remember when you came in the body? Were you cognizant of, okay, that's my mom, that's my dad, that's my brother?
Yeah, did you
yeah,
already
yeah,
know, or
yeah.
was
I
it something
already
you had
knew.
to learn?
No, I already knew it. I already knew
Okay.
it.
All
Yeah.
right. Do you
So,
remember anything from before?
yeah, I remember everything from before.
From
Everything.
like
Ah,
Yeah.
before your life prior?
Um, I think I'm not, I mean, no, but later on, I did what's it called?
Past life regression?
Past life regression. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I seen one where I was in the Civil War
Hmm.
and stuff, and I got shot in the shoulder.
oh, that was your spirit releasement, son.
Yeah, but
Okay,
also I did see myself that too. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So
How I need to ask you this. How
yeah.
cool was it to be raised by a woman who understands spirituality and understands the other side? How
Oh,
cool was that? Because I know growing up in the
Uh
household
huh.
that I grew up in, not bashing my family because they're my family, they're great.
Yeah.
But like just not being able to express myself and how I felt spiritually,
Hmm.
because they were very Christian and very
Yeah.
kind of overbearing, and no, you didn't really see that or you didn't really hear that. How cool was it where you could actually talk to your mom? And did you feel comfortable talking to your mother?
Oh yeah. Oh, I always felt comfortable talking to my mom. I've always had an open book with my mom.
That's awesome.
I've always went and told her, even stuff she
Yeah.
didn't want to hear. I told her, but with my
Yes.
dad, it was a different story. It was kind of like this, how you said, Christian based, really.
Yeah.
Um, my dad just he don't believe in a lot of stuff, so
Yeah.
it's kind of one of those things that I don't really talk to him like that with that type of stuff.
Right.
With my mom, I do, but there's with my mom's side of the family, it's always been like a spiritual side.
Yeah.
So it's always been open like that.
And
This
So
I'll tell you, I felt that way too. First time meeting her over a podcast, and I was like, "You're my person. your,
you
your
know,
mom."
I
You.
felt like I ruined my son. I mean, my son was coming with me because I was a single mom, and his
Mhm.
dad's a great guy. Let me just
Mhm.
say,
oh,
my
100%.
senior is a great man. He's from the
Right.
South. He's from Arkansas, Baptist. He's
Okay.
just a wonderful human
Yeah.
being. He really is. But then coming to California, there's a culture shock. Being
Yes.
having Hispanic Native American blood. It's just
Mhm.
a different philosophy. And so we just were oil and water. We just really didn't mix. I mean,
Right.
so but his dad and I have remained friends all these years, and
Hmm.
he's just a wonderful person. But growing up, my poor son, I took him. How many times have we gone ghost hunting, Mike?
Oh, so many times.
Cleaning. I trained him to clean spirits and entities off of properties.
That's awesome.
Um,
Now, I guess one thing that I do, another thing I want to know. There's going to
Yep.
be lots of things I want to know.
Go ahead.
um,
Like I said, I'm
do
open.
you have? I know you obviously because you know this about
Hmm.
yourself because you know that you didn't hit this earth until the body was at least three,
Hmm.
4 years old. Do you
Hmm.
still have a connection with the afterlife or with the other side,
Yeah.
or do you feel like because of your mom and the family on her side being able to have that connection, do you possess that connection too?
Yes, I do. I do, and I've had that pretty much all my life. I've had just everything you could think of through the book for paranormal.
Yeah.
I mean, I've dealt with it most of my whole life, and yeah, I had a situation I think a day ago where my friend had a birthday party, and I was at one of my other friends' house, and we met up there, and I already knew this guy had like a little bit of some little paranormal stuff going on. He told
Yeah.
me here and there, and when everybody left, and it was just two of my friends.
Mhm.
Um, they say, "Hey, did you feel anything?" Well, one of my friends already knows I'm like that,
Yeah.
so they're like, "Hey, do you feel anything inside?" I said, "No, not really." I said, "The house feels okay, and they were like, "Well, how about we step out and you walk through the house by yourself?" I said, "Okay." So I got up and I walked around, and sure enough, I hit the room that had the spirit in it, and I walked over. So he's in that room right there. They were like, "Really?" Oh, yeah, come on, I'll show you. And then
So it
we
was
walked
just
down
one
there.
particular room.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because the temperature is real cold,
Yeah.
and as soon as you hit the room, your hairs stood up
Yeah.
on your
Yep.
arm. I mean,
Been there. Yeah.
automatically. And I went and I always make sure. So I went to that straight room in the back. Then I went
Hmm.
to the next room to see what the temperature is in between
Right.
all that to make sure. And I knew 100%. Then it started following us
yeah.
Mm.
as we're sitting there
Was
talking and
it
stuff.
was
Yeah.
inquisitive.
Oh yeah, yeah. It was nothing bad. It's just I think it's just
Just
my opinion.
nosy.
Just so well, my opinion was somebody that probably lived there and probably
Live
passed
there.
away there.
Yeah.
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 So, do you still instead of just for your friends and family and stuff, do
Uh huh.
you go out and do paranormal hunting
I
still or
wish I mean
investigation?
I can. I mean I just don't. I mean like I said out here there's not really much right now that
Mhm.
I mean like I haven't really got invited to do any. But I mean I'm open to be invited to go out and do ghost hunting. I always get excited doing that type of
Oh
stuff.
yeah. I did that back in Ohio. I'm in Arizona now,
Uh-huh.
but back in Ohio, I used to go ghost hunting and do paranormal investigations all the
Uh-huh.
time. What my I used to have a metaphysical shop that was
Oh, okay.
actually Amy Allen from Dead Files came to
Yeah.
it.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I
Yeah.
was so excited about that. I was so
Uh-huh.
glad I was there that day. She came in, she passed our card off to the people who she was helping investigate
Uh-huh.
their home, and we got to go in and investigate their home. And those they were the nicest people on the
Yeah.
planet. And just the female, the older, the mom,
Mm-hmm.
she had her mother-in-law living with her and her children.
Uh-huh.
So there was a lot of different things going on because the house was located in a very old area of Toledo, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And we're on the Dead Files a couple of times.
Yeah.
Oh,
Toledo, Ohio
True.
made
that's
yeah,
exciting.
Yeah.
they made the Dead Files show a couple of times. But I mean, I would love that stuff, and I so badly want to get involved out here, but the other constraint is time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
such a problem. It's like
So
Yeah.
living in California, we used to get contacted all the time,
Mhm.
especially
Yeah.
me. Hey, can you get removed spirits? Yes. So my son got dragged into all kinds of things, and I'm like, son, we got to
Oh,
go
yeah.
get the sage. We got to go get the three kings,
Yeah.
incense. We got to go do some cleaning. And so, he really got a lot of experience, but he actually is very, very special. Now, just to clarify, his body, your soul comes into your body, and then he had to walk in. So one left and one came in.
Right.
But he still, he wasn't soulless,
Mhm.
until age 3. But he actually he has some very unusual experience that a lot of people don't have. And you know which experience I'm talking about, don't you, son?
Yeah. I
You want to
believe
share it?
so. Which one? Well, I got a lot. Which one? Which
Well,
one?
the one that is gonna. So Michael actually saw a non-human entity.
Oh, that one. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh
So I
yeah.
was trying to remember. I was like, which one? So okay. So so I was this when I was living in California,
Mhm.
in the Bay Area, and me and my mom we lived together, and I was sleeping, and I woke up one morning, and when I woke up, I looked over at the wall,
Mhm.
and I seen a demon,
Yikes.
horns and long finger and long fingernails, and I seen the whole thing, the whole body, but it was also translucent, so you could
Mhm.
see it but see
But
through it.
see through it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was real interesting, and I jumped back, like again, because my bed was towards the wall. I jumped
Mhm.
back and I was like looking at it, like, am I really seeing this? And
Yeah.
it was still there, and it turned and looked at me and realized I seen it, and it
Yeah.
ran into the wall, the other side of the wall in the room, and disappeared.
How tall
And
was it, son?
Probably my height, 6 foot.
So 6 foot.
so
Wow.
it never
Yeah.
really explained what it was doing there, just passing
No, it was just
through,
like it was
saying
just standing
hi.
there,
Just
kind of looking
being
around,
a
I guess.
creeper watching you
Yeah,
sleep.
probably. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't. He wasn't exactly looking at me,
Mhm.
but it was looking just in general, like where it was at, just kind of like that, looking around.
Wow.
Then when it went when it looked, it turned, it looked like this at me, and noticed I seen it, and I could
It's like,
like
oh
it
shit.
noticed. Yeah, like he could see me, and then he went poop. See you later.
Jen, I
It's so
remember that
funny.
morning like it was yesterday. We were
I
living in
bet that was
Castro
an
Valley.
interesting morning at
And I
breakfast.
heard, you can see my son's a big guy, and I heard this boom up against the wall, and I thought,
Yeah.
what the heck? And then my son comes flying
He's
out of the room. He's like,
jazzercising. Leave him
yeah.
alone.
I heard him go, oh shit, and he jumped, and I heard his body hit the wall,
Yeah.
and he comes up and he goes, Mom, I just saw a demon. I'm like, what? He goes,
God, how were you freaked out or anything? Because I know I would have
uh,
been just knowing that that's what I saw.
yeah. I mean, freaked out. I was a little bit, but then I was like, wow, I can't believe I've seen that.
Right. Yeah. Right. I
Just
mean,
had to
because
just take it. I mean, I had to sit there and think about it. Like, wow, that really just happened. I mean, did I really see that? I mean,
so
I mean,
what
as
are
soon as
some
I hit the wall,
other?
I really noticed that it was real. Once I hit the wall, I
Yeah.
was like, oh. and I ain't just
God,
half asleep.
that's crazy. What are some other insane things that you've seen? It can
Okay.
be from paranormal
Uh huh.
investigations or just stuff
Okay.
that you've just walked in on.
Okay. So I'll do my first one. Well, we had a family member that passed.
Mhm,
And I remember going to my mom's, and this is when I was about 10 years old.
mhm,
And this is after he passed, and I got dropped off with my dad, and I went to my mom's at this apartment complex. And well, excuse me, my mom was there, but it was one of our other family members opened the door,
mhm.
and as soon as they opened the door, I felt like time stopped. It got real white,
What a
like
weird feeling to have.
yeah, time stopped, got real white, and Um, I seen my dead family member's face, just his
Mhm.
face, and he was smiling and just basically kind of like, kind of just telling me that everything's okay, I'm okay, and then within an instant, time started just like it started up again, like
Well,
nothing ever happened, and I was sitting there like, what?
ah, yikes.
But it
At
felt,
least he was like, "Hey, I'm good." You
yeah,
know.
That's a
I
yeah,
common experience for mediums when that happens. There
mhm,
was one particular time my son was with me and I went to the grocery store and remember we were getting a rug doctor. We had to clean the
yeah,
rugs. And so I
yeah,
said, come on, Mike, we got to go to the store, get a rug doctor. We
mhm.
go in the store. Here I am in the middle of a Safeway getting a rug doctor and the lady's helping me. And all of a sudden, my head went back and I saw the white and I go, oh my, and I see this man. And my son noticed, he said, Mom, are you okay? And I said, and I looked at her and I said, did you have a family member that died? And she said, yes. I said, he was a male. And she said, yes. And then I began to give her. She just put her head down. She couldn't believe it. And so, ironically, that same lady, Michael,
mm.
works at the Safeway where I live here
Oh
That's
wow.
funny.
in Belmont. And I
It
go,
was meant to
really?
be.
Yeah, and so it'll happen a lot of times like that. It'll
Mhm.
you'll see a white and then it'll
Mm,
come to you. So yeah,
And some of the strangest times too, apparently.
apparently rug
yeah.
doc stop nothing.
So, how often do you have psychic issues or not issues? Oh my goodness.
Uh,
Do you have like psychic happenings, psychic events that happen, or is it more
um,
like, you see spirits where,
it's just I see
maybe,
spirits. It's like a normal day. Like my mom always says, the paranormal is normal.
Yeah,
yep,
So
yep.
it's just
I
another
firm
day.
believer. Yep.
Yeah, it's just another day. I mean, I remember. I mean, even and it's funny because it's funny how to explain this. Um, Basically, when you're friends with somebody that's like me,
Hmm.
sometimes you come along for the ride,
Yes,
regardless,
this is
regardless if you
very
want
true.
to or not.
And
You
I,
know, and I've had numerous friends
yes.
that, matter of fact, in the same place where I saw the demon, which Greg, that was
yeah.
part of Greg's story. I don't want to ruin that. I'm waiting for him to jump on and talk about that. But
Oh, Greg,
oh
Greg,
yeah, Greg, yeah,
Greg.
that's a good story. But basically, that demon was around for a little bit. And when he was around, I remember kicking it with my friends, and we had this little den area.
Hmm.
And I can't remember what I was doing, either vacuuming or cleaning up or something. And so there was like a couple steps into the den area where we watch TV, where there's a
Yeah.
couch and everything.
Hmm.
And then uh, when you go up the steps was a dining room, okay,
Okay.
with a fan and lights. Well, uh, because most of the lights come from the kitchen area,
Hmm.
so anything happens, you can see somebody go by or
Right.
whatever. So me and my friends were hanging out, and next thing you know, it was like somebody walked by, and we turned around, we looked, what the heck, and because it was just a dark shadow just come across that light, and it blacked it out, and then just kept on going.
Yeah.
And
Uh,
both me and friends freaked. Well, they were freaked
yes.
out. I was like, "Wow, that's interesting."
My favorite was when I had my metaphysical shop in Toledo.
Uh huh.
We had I don't we had an entity. I thought it was somebody just being lazy and not cleaning up at the end
Yeah.
of the day.
Yeah.
And so I'm picking up all this stuff because stuff would get knocked around on the floor and
Uh-huh.
everything. And I'm like, geez Louise. Come to
Hmm.
find out, we had one of our local psychic mediums that told us that,
Hmm.
oh, hey, you have somebody here. And I was like, well, that explains a lot. And here I am cussing out people who don't deserve it. I'm an asshole. So, and then a few doors down, we had a new tenant who, because it was a little strip mall, he
Uh-huh.
had like crafts and stuff that him
Hmm.
and some friends made. And he came down and he goes, you have problems with things jumping off of your shelves? And I was like, oh, you meant George. George actually followed me to a couple from that place to a couple
Yeah.
of different houses that I had because he loved our energy and everything like that.
Yeah.
So he was a very important part of my life, and
Mm-hmm.
we've heard things get thrown around down in the basement where all my metaphysical stuff was from the
Hmm.
shop. He would throw things if he didn't feel he was getting enough attention.
Hmm.
um, he was very needy.
Hmm.
I'd have to talk
The,
to him
th- th-
regularly.
those ones are fun.
He was a fun one. He was
So
not a
did
Hmm.
nasty. He
did
was
they did they do readings in your shop? I was just
yes,
okay.
yeah. I did readings. I've had some people do um readings for like messages, from
Hmm.
whatever. I
Yeah,
did tarot. I had someone come in who was a psychic medium well known in the area.
Hmm.
And I had quite a few different readers that were in
because
there. My friend Mandy would read as well, and I had a buddy who did runes, and we had a lot of different options. It was so much fun, and I miss having a shop.
well, we have to get another one. But
Yeah.
what I've noticed
What?
is back in those days, especially when he was small, and a lot of readers will contest to this, we saw people in
Hmm.
person. Like
Hmm.
now, I won't see people and bring them into my house because they bring their stuff with them. And I have to
Yes.
Yeah.
careful to tell them, take your
Yes.
dead with you.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Like reading
Well,
over the internet
actually,
is so much easier for me. And I can still do what I need to do. It's very
well,
easy. But this is part of the reason why I don't read at home because of
Right.
stuff.
Right.
yeah. Well, to touch on that subject, and
Uh,
that was actually funny you said that because that reminded me. Okay, so one time, we were living in another spot in California. We moved around a lot. I mean,
Mhm.
um, and we had a homeless guy that we invited over for Thanksgiving.
oh yeah.
So see,
Brave.
look, she already knows
Brave.
where I'm going with this one. So, like I said, you're along for the ride. That's
Hmm.
like I said, you come. Sometimes you don't get nothing, but when we get something, you're like, oh my god,
Yeah.
I can't believe I'm dealing with this. And that was one of the situations that happened. So he came and he had a dog. I've talked to this guy. I've actually built a relationship with him. It was
Oh,
just a
nice.
random guy. Like we
Right.
talked and and he had a real interesting story. But
Yeah.
anyways, we invited him over, and I already had my dog at the time. So his dog was like a white dog with like mostly white and a little bit of gray.
It was
My
like a
dog is
yeah, like a
it
shepherd,
was
like a shepherd or
well,
something.
it
A
was
husky.
a husky,
Yeah.
Okay.
a real sick husky. Anyways, I had my dog, okay, that was white too. So we're sitting there talking, and then my mom, I'm trying to think. I can't remember. Did you start talking about his dog, or I can't remember if I seen the dog first. I can't remember which one it was. I'm trying
I
to
don't
remember.
remember.
Okay,
But
so it's one of the two. So basically, what happened was, I locked up my dog because my dog don't like other males, dominance thing. His dog was a male, so I locked him up in the cage, and they were all downstairs. Well,
Yeah.
I remember I moved the chair out, and I saw a white dog, or a white dog run in between my legs, and I yelled at my dog because I was like, "Hey, get back in the cage." And I look, I'm like, "Oh, he's in the cage." He looked at me like, "What did I do?" That's what it was. You said, "Hey, did you have a white dog?" That's what happened. I remember now. And
yeah.
then when he said, "Yeah, I did," and then you explained it to him, he broke down crying.
Oh, and I can imagine you guys bring closure sometimes to a lot of
Yeah,
different people.
yeah.
And that's got to be, oh my God, so fulfilling.
Oh, yeah.
When you have an experience, let's say, like Gina, you said you were at the store, you
Yeah.
had your experience.
Yeah.
When you have just a random experience, do you guys tell the people that
Yes.
you have? Okay, because a lot of
Yes.
people do not. I've heard from a lot of people, no, I don't because people get freaked out, or yes, I
Yeah.
Some
do,
do. That's true. That's true. Some
yeah.
do.
So,
Some
Mike,
people
do
do it.
you?
I mean, like I'll tell people, you know what I mean. Like, I'm more of like I'll see stuff
Mm-hmm.
and whatnot. But I take it back. No, I take it back. Actually, when I go to do house cleansings,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes depending on the place where these people, depending like the person, if they've been really depressed, real
Mm-hmm.
depressed, and they stay in one area of the house, I'll pick that up and I'll tell them, look, I said, you stay right here and you cry.
Yeah.
And because of this situation, that situation. And they look at me like, oh my God, how'd you know
Are
that?
you videotaping
Yeah,
me?
right. And I had that situation happen with one lady
Yes.
we did a house clean for, and she sat
Yeah.
on one side of the couch, and I
Oh.
and it sometimes the energy's so strong
Yeah.
Yeah.
because they you release a lot of energy when you're mad, you're upset, all that energy that
Yes.
you release. Sometimes when you're in that one spot every day and you're
Mhm.
stressed out and in that one part of that couch, it picks it up
It's
sometimes.
saturated in that
Yes, big
area.
time. And then when I go buy it and I touch it, I get all that. Like sometimes I'll even start crying
Yikes.
Yeah.
because it's so like power, like so much,
Yeah.
It's
so
true.
much. Yeah.
It,
So
it's
it's
pungent
just
is the word that I
pungent.
like to
Yeah,
use.
and it tells me exactly like the feel the when I touch the area, it tells me exactly what's going
Yeah.
on, and then I relate it to them, and they sometimes they freak out.
To me, excuse me, I'm not in any way a psychic medium at all. But I do I have empathic tendencies, and I do feel like, to me, when it's super saturated in an area, it's almost like wading through the most humid a-
Mm,
area that you could possibly ever. I mean, maybe swampish. I don't know
yeah,
how to describe it other than it's
Yeah.
thick, and
Yeah.
it's like
yeah.
in the air, and you
Yeah.
can taste it and you can smell it. And I didn't know if that was the same thing. I know it's different for everybody, but,
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of times where you can just smell
Yeah.
the depression or the
Mm,
lies coming off of people.
mhm,
I've
mhm.
I've done that before, where I don't have a sense of smell most of the time. I can't. I was perfect working in a jail. I did not smell anything. But, like, around some people, I'll just be like, ugh.
Yeah.
You're lying right now because the smell coming off of you is
I'll see
wretched.
like a gray thing over their head. I'll see, as I know when people are sick. But it's there's things that people can do besides saging, and with obviously white sage and or cedar, Palo Santo wood.
Mhm.
But they can
Mhm.
My
also,
favorite.
especially if they got stale energy, they can get a pot and pan and bang. They've got to clean up their house, open and let the lights come in, literally
Yeah.
organize it, pots and pans, and then put fresh flowers, and a white candle will help to clear the energy.
Hell, you can get a bell and ring it.
Even
You
ringing
know,
the bell,
yes,
burning
the noise helps.
bay leaf will help
Oh yeah.
break negativity.
Yep.
But I wanted to share something because my son had the experience. I was hoping to touch on this before we hang up. Not spirits don't just come to mediums, but they also, even if you help them, they
Mhm.
are so grateful. All the spirits that I've helped have
Mhm.
always been there for me. And they've
Mm,
not just been there for me, they've been there for
Mhm.
my children. One in particular was a murder case that I actually worked, and my son came with me, and we did a cleansing of that house. But we did a murder, I was involved in a murder investigation with the family in 2013 in the Bay
Mhm.
Area. And that particular man was so grateful that he came to help my son. And son, you want to tell the story? And we won't use his name. We're going to call him Rick.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Rick. Okay, so I remember we worked on that case and stuff, the Rick case, and it was really interesting. Really good experience. I really enjoyed it.
Hmm.
Um, and it was it's hard to, I'm trying to think how to put this. It was
Talk
a
to me about when he came to visit you.
oh, when he came to visit me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, man, I can't really remember that one. I can't remember what happened that
So
one.
during that time, Michael was going through a point in his life where he just wasn't happy.
Oh yeah, yeah,
He had gotten divorced at his first divorce, and he was, kind of like, I'm never going to meet anybody. And then he got a visit, and the only reason I know is because he told me about it. Do you remember
Hmm.
that, son?
vaguely because it's been so long.
So he said he was laying in his room in his bed and he felt the chills. And then he came to him and told him, I had money and I had everything, but I didn't have love. You have, and at the time he had met somebody, but he wanted, like, the person was very materialistic. So he wanted to give her, a lot more. And she was really impatient. And he kept saying, I don't feel like, I'm happy. I'm not happy. And he said,
Right.
wait. And he came to him and said, wait a minute, I had everything. And Michael,
Yeah,
he told me, listen, I saw his little pouch he went to work with, his work outfit and everything. And he was like, but I didn't have love. You have love.
Hmm.
You like trying to tell him telepathically, you might
yeah,
not have a lot, but having a lot doesn't mean you're happy.
Yeah.
yeah.
I have, I married the love of my life and we ain't got jack shit, but I'm happy.
Honestly, that's all that matters. You,
I don't have
Yes,
money either,
yes.
and
And
I'm
it,
happy.
that is one smart ghost.
But they and then he was madly in love with my daughter too. And at the time, Mia was like about 5, and
Hmm.
he used to come to me and say, "I love your daughter," and I said, "Forget it, you're not good enough for me." Yeah, I would. He goes, I remember this ghost saying to me, I would marry you just to be close to your daughter. And I said, you don't have enough money for my daughter. He said, I got lots of money. He was such a, and I could
Not
hear his
anymore, bro.
voice. And it was just
yeah,
so funny, like the way that they interact with you. And
Yeah.
I had Rick around me for probably about 2 years, and he
Hmm.
will come when I call if I need something. But I mean, but because everything is done,
Hmm.
and but it was so amazing that he was able to interact with me and my children. Son, you don't remember that when that
it
happened?
was really vague. I do remember a little bit when you explained it, but it's been so long. That one
Yeah.
was a long one. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's happened since then. But I could definitely tell you a story. It's probably one of my most scariest
I
ones,
want to hear it.
and I knew I might as well get into this one right now. So
Yeah.
during my first marriage,
Oh
I
God.
moved out to New Mexico. So, and we lived out. Well, first we lived in Albuquerque for about a year, and then we moved to.
Trash.
I know. Hey, I love the food though. I'll tell you that. I love the
Oh
food.
my God, you are not wrong. I love it out here.
And then we moved to another spot uh,
Truth or
where it was Truth Consequences. Yep, TRC. A lot of people don't know about it.
I did not until I had to do a record search for a
Yep,
background check for their police department.
yeah,
Yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
God. I was like, it's really called Truth and Consequences. Yes, it is.
Yes.
It
Game
has
show
been
back in
named.
the 70s. Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So I lived out there, and it was actually the outskirts because believe it or not, there's Truth and Consequences, and there's a small little spot like literally next to it. I think it's called Wilson or Washington or something like that. It's a little small town next to it,
Hmm.
which that's it. It's like it has one little post office, and that's it. And either way, I called it. It's basically together in the same. It's in the
Right.
same area. So I lived in a trailer there. It was a trailer built on like it was like a house slash trailer that got built together. It
Okay.
was real weird, and somebody died there, and
Hmm.
he really wasn't a nice person from what I got. But he never really bothered me up until me and my ex-wife started having issues, and it
Hmm.
and it was like she. I remember she left one night. Like we had a big old blowout and she left. She went to her mom's or something like that. Anyways, I was in the house, and this is around like I think it was like 2 o'clock in the morning or 1 o'clock in the morning, and
Perfect time.
perfect time, right? And um, I started hearing walking through the trailer. You can hear it
Mhm.
walking, 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 and then I'm like, man, what is that? I'm just hearing stuff. I just, my mind must be playing. Then it started picking up, and then uh, where they had the trailer, it connected down to some stairs to like a little it's kind of like a cottage type of thing that was connected to it.
Okay.
Anyways, it was just really weird. But then it started coming downstairs. Then it went back up, and then it started getting faster, faster, and then to the point where it punched the door and
Wow.
opened the door up. And I flew up because the bed was actually like if I'm sitting on the bed and like I'm looking at you guys, I'm like facing the door, and it flew. I mean, it hit that door so hard, I could not believe it flew open.
Yeah.
I
So do
jumped
you
up. I looked around the whole house. Nothing.
that's insane.
that's
That's
Well,
insane.
that's the
she,
one that really got me. That
Do
really
you
did scare me.
do you think that it was causing the issues between you and your wife, or do you think
Uh,
that maybe the issues between you and your then wife were causing it
his
to get
wife was,
juiced?
she was very sensitive. She and I remember her
yeah,
saying to me, "Oh, ghosts always come near me. Ghosts always come near me." But then she had some sort of possession at some point.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yikes.
yeah. He had
yeah,
Michael had to do a releasement with another person to get it out of her. It was almost like an
yeah,
exorcism.
That's so scary.
yeah. That was another one
Yeah,
that was an interesting one.
she was okay 1 minute, and then it was like, uh oh, ooh, we.
And
Oh,
I did get
can't
scratched
blame
too.
can't blame PMS for that one.
Yeah, and I did get scratched because I did send her the pictures of the scratch that I got on
Yeah,
Really?
my
Were
back.
there
Yeah.
3?
Yep.
yep.
Surprise, surprise.
And I remember he
Yep.
called me. He's like, "Mom, something just hit the door," and I was like, "Oh my god!" And it was
Hmm.
just. I
That's
remember
crazy.
staying in that little place with them when they got married. Like right
Mhm.
when they got married, we all came down for the wedding, and then we left. And I didn't have any experiences. It was almost like everything was real quiet. Like I'm gonna
It
back
was
out. Just
watching.
and then yeah, but you know what? The next day, your dad only spent 1 night there. He was like, "I'm getting a hotel. Like I'm not staying." Like he just
Yeah.
bounced. But
Wow.
I
Yeah.
stayed there for, I think
Yeah.
it was there for a week, and it nothing bothered me per
Yeah.
se, but I remember that whole area, the land vibrated. The
Well,
Yeah.
land.
I've been in spots where the land has vibrated, and that is a whole different feeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
That's their
when
saying, land of enchantment.
Yep. Back in Ohio, one of the houses that I lived in, we had a lot of activity in that house. And I actually talked to one of the psychic mediums out there. She explained to me that I have a kind of like a spiritual caretaker
Mhm.
who lived in my closet. And
Yeah.
I was like, well, I want my room off limits, so I'll just tell her she can't come in my room when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
Any other time is fine, not while I'm sleeping. Set up those boundaries because you've got to.
Yeah.
So, she she likes George. She met George. George was with me at this house, and he was very helpful. And I would hear him like knocking on things, fixing things in the back bedroom that we never went into. But one night, my girls decided to play with a Ouija board.
Oh
Oh
God.
no.
Yeah, and they weren't exactly the smartest about I had gone to work or I was getting ready to go to work, and I
Yeah.
told them, I said, "You guys bring anything out into this area, you're going to have to deal with it." So, I said, "Because
Uh-oh.
I'm going to work.
Yeah.
So be careful." I guess something I believe my daughter has some type of an attachment, and it's
Yeah.
followed her around for years. It named itself, and it told her who it was on the Ouija board. And it kept saying it was going to harm her, this, that, and the other. And I'm like, not if I can help it. And then all of a sudden, the girls started instigating and said, "Yeah, well, if you were real, you would be able to make some noise." All of a sudden, boom, there was
Boom.
bang upstairs, and it's literally me, my 2 daughters, and my 2 female dogs in the living room, all of us. The dogs looked up, and I looked up, and then I looked
Uh-oh.
at them, I said, "You guys just fucked up."
You're gonna be
I
in
was
trouble
like,
now.
yep, I was like, "You guys shoulda never touched this. I told you, you guys don't know what you're doing." So, I thought I closed it out,
Yeah.
right,
Oh,
before I
but you
left for
didn't.
work. I didn't,
Yeah.
and
Oh no.
I was actually, training to be and in Ohio is the only place that I know that does this. They have, degrees of witch
Yeah,
levels.
I
So,
was gonna
like,
say that.
I was working on becoming a second degree. I had already gotten my first degree in witchcraft, and I'm sitting there and I'm at work and my daughter's texting me. She's like, "Oh my God, I need you to call your high priestess. I need help. It's like scaring me. We're like hearing
Yeah.
scratches and
Oh
there it's they're
no.
yeah, they're walking upstairs and this, that, and the other." I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, all right. So I called my high priestess and I was like, "So do you think you can go to my house and fix a problem?" She was like, "Jennifer, why did you let them?" I said, "Because they're adults and I'm not going to sit here and tell them what they can and can't do." I said, they have to fix it. I said, "So
Yeah.
would you please?" And she was like, "Yeah." She took care of it and
Mm.
yelled at my girls for me.
Good. Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
we've had some really but my girls are sensitive and they've been followed. They've had there of course they have seen the tall man, which
Oh,
that is a I guess it's a very well-known thing. Which I
Yeah.
didn't
yeah.
know. We all have seen the tall man.
Wow.
We lived in a house that was, and this was not the last house in Ohio. We lived in a house in Ohio that was so there was something there because I don't have dreams. And I had dreams of following a baby down into a toddler of walking age down into the basement and
Wow.
telling it, no, 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 don't go down there. And then trying to grab it before it went behind this one particular door that led into a room. And the room was just a coal chute from when they would drop coal down into the
Oh
basement
wow.
to feed the furnace. But for some reason, there was a baby in my house for one. And for two, um, I did not want this baby going in this room. And that room has always freaked me out. And I
Wow.
literally lived there 5 months before
Hmm.
it started attacking me and my kids. My kids were in their rooms. Could hear them yelling, "No, no." It tried to choke me one time.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
It went like
Yeah.
this while I was sleeping, and I
Yeah.
was all of a sudden I pushed against something and I was like, "No!" and yelled at it. And I
Yeah.
mean, I we slept with all the lights on the second floor, and I don't scare easy. But this was
Yeah.
back before
You
I
were there.
knew. Yeah,
Yeah.
this was back before I knew anything, and it didn't matter what time of day I came home, which is how another reason how you know it's for real because they don't
Yeah.
Yeah.
care what time of day. But
No.
No.
this I would get bum rushed as soon as I walked into my house. Something would rush me and get in my face, and I every time I'd walk in, I jolt back, and that's just going
Yeah.
into my house. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, I can't live here. We literally had to leave. Me and the
Yeah.
kids. We
Yeah.
found a different place to live and we had to leave because I was not dealing with that. I was a churchgoer at that time. Had
Yeah.
my parents, had the pastor come over. We prayed over the house and everything. And we're standing in the living room in a circle and we're holding hands and praying and kumbaya bullshit. And in Jesus' name, amen. It's done. All of a sudden,
No,
boom,
it's
on the
undone.
floor.
Yeah.
Mm.
I looked at my pastor, looked at my parents, and he goes, "It's just ductwork." I said, "Yeah, okay, we'll go with that." He leaves.
No.
He leaves. My
Yeah.
dad goes downstairs. He comes back up. He goes, "There's no ductwork down there." I said, "You could have kept that to yourself." I didn't
Yeah.
but God bless them for going down there and checking it out for me. But yeah, it was a scary situation. And I can't imagine you two both being able to see this on a daily basis. And it's just a part of life. And you're like, yeah, I'm 3, 4 years old and I see myself going into my body. I'm like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah, I know. And he was telling me this. I don't remember what age he told me. It wasn't at 3 or 4. It was a little. He was a little older, and he said,
Mhm.
"Well, actually, when I was pregnant with him, I was pregnant, and I was maybe about 6 months, 5 or 6 months, and I kept seeing car accident, car accident, car accident."
Oh,
And I was like,
Jesus.
it was such a gripping fear. I had such a phobia that I refused to drive.
Yeah.
And so I would not drive. I gave birth to him, and all of a sudden everything stopped. As he got older, he kept saying, "Mommy, I'm dreaming of a car accident." And he got a little older, he kept saying, "Mommy, I had another dream of a car accident."
Wow.
He got a little older, "Mommy, I think I'm going to be in a car accident. I kept seeing a car accident, Mom. I think I'm going to be in a car accident." And then
Mhm.
it was, "Mommy, I think I'm going to die in a car accident." Then, or,
Holy
"I think I
crap.
died in a car accident."
Mhm. Mhm.
Jesus.
And
Yes.
later on, it got into a car accident.
Yes. He did. He was in high school when that happened.
Oh my
And
God.
the report said the only reason why we all survived is because the transmission and engine didn't come through the firewall and kill us.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I
I
mean,
to live
there's
with
scary
that.
psychic.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
He
don't
would
know.
tell
Maybe
me.
I'm glad I can't do any of this because I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of a catch 22, but
Yeah.
you guys are definitely amazing people. Just the two of you in general, but I'm definitely also talking about psychic mediums and people that are sensitive. I know a lot of people that would give their right arm to be sensitive in any way. And, how maybe you guys can tell us
Mhm.
how do we decipher the bullshitters from the real?
Hmm.
Hmm.
In my
That's a good
world,
one.
with what I do, and a lot of people come to me for readings, I don't want any information. I
Mhm.
prefer to read cold, only because that gives me, and it's a skill too. You have to be able.
Yeah.
It's like a muscle. You have to exercise it, and I've been
Yes.
exercising it since I was very young. So,
Which is also
uh,
why you talk
yeah,
first when we do our
yeah,
normal shows.
right,
When we do talk about the dead,
yeah,
you talk
Mhm.
first because we don't want to have any of this information because how
right,
Mhm.
can anybody believe that you're the
Exactly.
truth?
right.
If and I know that you and I, Gina, have talked about this. If we were to ever, go anywhere or have anybody question whether we could come and do anything for them at their home or at their premises, you're more than willing to give a reading right on the spot
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
no problem at all. No problem.
because that's kind
Yeah.
of a test, not I don't want to say test, but
Well, you mentioned Amy Allen, and anybody that's watched her work, and she's very gifted,
she
and
is.
will see that she has the house set up where things are covered because she doesn't want anything,
Yes.
any sort of somebody to say, "Oh, well, she saw this," and yeah, that's what a true gifted person will do because there's integrity involved. It's not
Right.
just our word, because most people, and don't forget, when we were coming up, there was those things as ghost shows. Like, we
Yes.
had, who
Yeah.
did we have? We had one famous psychic, and
Sylvia
Sylvia
Brown.
Brown. Like, we didn't, but
Late
luckily,
night TV.
I've met
Mhm.
a few here in California. I've had the privilege, but not too many. So it wasn't that common, where now people are accepting that people are born gifted,
Yeah.
and so it's a little bit more accepted. But that's how we do it. I just want no
Mhm.
information, so that there's no way I can know something and then get the information. And
Mhm.
usually I'll use my psychic gift first, and once I'm in, then if the dead come forward, including animals, then I'll tell them what they show me telepathically. And that's how I do it. Son, you want to comment
Yeah,
more?
I'll touch on my half.
Yeah.
Now I don't read cards like my
Mhm.
mom does. That's my mom's thing. That's what that's her, I guess you could say, gift, I guess.
Yeah.
And for me, people find me. I don't have anything on social media. I don't say, hey, I do all this for you. No, most of these people they find me.
Mhm.
So if you have an issue and I'm around and I hear it, I'll pull you to the side and I'll say, look, do you want me to take care of it for you or no?
Mhm.
And that's when they make the decision. You know,
Okay.
like I said, I'm not out there. I don't promote it or nothing like that.
Mhm. And that was something that I was wondering, do you
Yeah,
do these as a service on the side or anything like that?
yeah.
I
I mean,
know,
I could do
Gina,
it.
I know you do readings and stuff like that, which if anyone does
Yeah.
want a reading, just email us. Our email is scrolling
Yeah.
at the bottom. Um, and Gina would be more than happy to contact you and do a reading. But for you, Mike,
Yeah.
what do you do, like any extra side hustle services at all,
No, I
if at
don't.
all?
I
Okay.
don't. I mean, like I said, if somebody needs something like a house cleansing
Mhm,
around that type of realm, just you want to clear out the house or stuff like that, I
mhm.
could do all that. And like I said, it's more they find me,
Right, right,
either through my mom or whatnot. But I don't have any. I don't promote it like I'm not out there promoting it. So
right. Okay, okay.
yeah,
I know some people are it's just something that they don't like to, like, try to sell themselves on or
yeah,
anything
Yeah.
like
yeah.
that,
Yeah, I'm
and
not out there to sell myself. I mean,
yeah.
if they want to give me money to do it, then that's fine. I mean, or even, I just do it just to help people out.
Yeah, because I think that's super important because a lot of
Yeah,
people, well, how much does a cleansing cost?
yeah,
Honestly, it really
It depends on
shouldn't
what's
be.
there.
Oh, it
yeah,
depends on what's there. It depends on how much, how many supplies you have to use,
yeah,
because unfortunately, there is a cost associated with that. And
yeah,
I'm sure, like, I mean, I know when I was doing this stuff and clearing houses in Ohio, I
mm,
know that all I asked was if
Yeah.
you
hmm,
can pay for the sage, or if you can pay
hmm,
for the holy water or whatever it is
hmm,
that we use, if that was it. We
yeah,
never turned anyone down for the inability to pay, or,
Yeah.
hmm,
you know,
Yeah.
they needed help. And because I'm sorry, there's nothing worse than being scared to death in your own home
Right.
by
exactly.
something you can't see.
And the thing is, like when people would contact me, a lot of times it was just like, well, let me see if they're real type thing. But a lot of times
Yeah.
you go to these house cleansings, there's a thing of the structure being haunted, the
Mhm.
land,
Mhm.
there could be anything. The person could have multiple attachments. We don't really
Yeah.
know when we get there.
Yes, and that is
So,
normal for
yeah,
somebody to have to come and do an interview with you,
Yeah,
yeah,
with you, the
absolutely.
homeowner, because we don't know if it's you, if it's your land, or if it's if
Exactly.
it's something in your house, or if you have the Annabelle doll and your grandchild's been
Right.
playing with it,
hmm,
who
Yeah,
knows? But that's something that we have to come and see. So,
exactly.
exactly.
that's something that's always gonna be if somebody just tells you, "Yeah, I'll come and, sage your house and be done,"
Yeah.
they're
But that
bullshit.
stages don't
They're
work
And
because
and,
bullshit.
and,
in that
and and I
garden
always
could
go
be an
back and I check.
entity.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and, you do. You have to go back and, like, "Hey, how you doing? How are things?"
exactly.
Sometimes you
"Can
got to
I
do it
come and do?"
multiple times.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
not a
Yeah,
one and done with
right.
some entities,
yeah.
So I think we've all been there that are
Yeah,
really true and honest, in
Hmm.
our field. There's a lot of people, and we hope that if anybody out there does need anything, that you guys would,
Yeah,
do your homework
yeah.
before you allow
Before you
anyone
try
into
to,
your home.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but,
yeah.
we are coming up, believe it or not, on an
yes,
hour.
Wow.
that's amazing.
It seemed like it went pretty quick.
It
Yeah,
did, and you know what, Mike? At some point, if you ever wanna come on and do an episode with us, you're
Yeah,
more than welcome to.
yeah.
I would love to have, another time of where, "Hey, this is the
Hmm.
case that we're looking at, what are your thoughts?" And get both of
Okay.
you
yeah,
in on that fun, and then but I learned something today, and I'm so excited. Thank you. I did not know
Nah.
that there was such a thing as a walk-in. I didn't even know that that was a thing. So, You have opened up a lot of people's eyeballs, and I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know you've got to get to bed because
Mhm.
it's you have a real job.
Yeah.
Needs any house cleansings in North Carolina, please email us and I'll send it to my son Mike.
Yes.
Because Mike has been trained to clean off spirits off people, off of properties, as well as land. He is very, very, very knowledgeable about that stuff, and he can definitely help you.
Yeah, and while there is no charge, d give a little something, please.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but, we are going to call it for the evening. You guys have been amazing. I am so appreciative of the both of you. Thank you so much, Mike, for showing up. I I'm enamored with both of you. So, thank you so much, and thank you to all of our, Unearthed Evidence fans, and we look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Thank you for having me.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye bye.